It's hot out here. I know it's hot. All right, hey everyone, just wanted to do a short video here, a little Sunday motivation about a compilation of some things that have come up over the past week. And I just like to get this info out there as much as I can. I'm really starting to realize, like, if I have a thought about something, I make a note of it because I know that other people can learn about it, or if it's a question that we get from someone, like, I know that there's some kind of a benefit that we can all learn from. And so that's my goal, is to throughout the week kind of pay attention to different issues and things that pop up and try to talk about them a little bit. So I'm working with a group of people from True Fusion, and I got this guy, man, Mark and his team, Joe and Marnie and them, and these are some amazing people. Like, they're helping us take our business to another level and empower even more people, and I'm just really excited about it. But it's been an honor working with his people and his team, and we've had some questions and issues come up. We're doing we've been doing an abbreviated version of some nutritional talks with them, and of course, we do the general SHT. We're doing things every 2 weeks, and it's very, very slow. We start out with the basics, and we start to get a little bit more advanced as we go through it. And with this group, we've kind of made it a lot more fast. It's been like meetings every week and new topics, and I'm realizing, like, we're cramming a lot of information into a very short period of time. But it's all relative, because in the SHT, like, we're cramming a lot of information into the span of 10 weeks. And we've been thinking about it, and we had some really good talks about, like, what this is that we're trying to share with people. And when you think about it, like, real food, it's really simple. Like, it really is. We have to explain it, and we have to explain how we get to these conclusions so that people understand why, and so that we can undo years, if not decades, of brainwashing. And and we don't realize that it's been brainwashing, but it is, because we see it and hear it from all kinds of different sources, and a lot of that stuff we believe. So when I say brainwashing, you don't even realize that it's brainwashing, but we have this predisposition to think about things in a certain way, and it really keeps us from opening our minds about some really powerful information. But anyway, we go through explanations of why. We try to do a good job of that. We give you resources. If anyone ever wants to read some books, I can give you some books that helped us kind of come to our conclusions. But of course, a lot of what we do is based on experiential knowledge and combining it with scientific literature and research and things like that. But anyway, so when you really think about it, we make things complicated so that, hey, get over here. Over here. We make things complicated. Come here. Get over here. We make things complicated. I like for him to be on camera. We make things complicated so that we can simplify. Me and some of my nutritional cohorts, we talk about that all the time. It's like we have to complicate things in order to simplify them. But when you really think about what real food is, it's so simple. It's almost common sense. Meats, fats, vegetables, fruits, starches. You can make an argument for or not for grains and legumes and stuff like that. But in general, that's going to be more real foodish than processed food and crap. And I think that's kind of common sense. And then we only have some very basic rules around real food, and that's basically not having sugar or starch in the morning, and nurturing space in between meals. Letting your body heal in between meals and burn fat in between meals, and be self-sufficient in between meals. That's the two basics right there. When it comes to food, 100% real food, nurturing natural space in between meals, and not starting the day off with a signal of carbohydrates. All right, and as simple as that is, we still get resistance on that too, because there's this whole mindset, meat's bad for you and fat's bad for you, and we're undoing 40, 50 years of everyone thinking that fat clogs your arteries, causes cholesterol problems, and causes heart disease, and that meat causes cancer, and undoing decades of this whole idea that you need to eat every 2 or 3 hours to keep your metabolism stoked and all this other stuff, and it's just like, it's really interesting because we have an advanced program going right now. We call it the Atavist Purest Fat Loss Program, and everyone in there, because it's an advanced program, has been doing these general protocols and learned the basics for a pretty significant period of time. And it's just like I look around the room and we're talking about these concepts that to most people out there would think are almost crazy, but to us it completely makes sense because we're fully immersed in this stuff, And by the way, like, our group of people is composed of all ages, all sizes, all walks, all fitness capacities, and this stuff works for everybody. You just have to fully embrace it. So anyway, me and my really good friend Mark were talking about, like, how simple this is and yet how complicated it can be, and it's so much more than just what we're trying to tell you to do, because we're dealing with the mind and emotions and attachments and programming and all this other stuff. And that's where the difficult part in our job comes from. But you know what? I love it. I love my life and I love every bit of this. And I have nothing but love and compassion for every single one of you, especially those of you that are resistant to what we're trying to teach, and especially those of you that are struggling with this stuff, because that's where I was. That's where most of us were. We came from a place of, just like thinking we were doing the right thing, but it wasn't the right thing. And at some point we got fed up with it. And we stood up and said, like, okay, there's got to be a different way and a better way. And this is the way. And I can tell you with confidence, which may also sound or seem like arrogance, this is the way. This is the way. This is real food. This is how you structure your daily eating. This is the way that you manipulate things. And if you have a hard time with that, then I need to do a better job of trying to explain it to you, because, it's just the way it is, And I can say that because our definition of real food is very broad, very encompassing. It incorporates subsets: paleo, primal, Weston A. Price, vegan, therapeutic methodologies, detox methodologies, and all that kind of stuff. So the question is, within this 5 food groups, within our definition of food, what works best for you, and how do you cycle yourself through different experiments to try to figure out what works best for you, And that's what we try to help you do, So nothing but love and compassion here for you. My point with that is that real food is simple, and our basic rules are super simple, And I know for a lot of people that it's not just those basic rules. It's like you're undoing a lot of different things. So now, over the long term, of course, there is a lot of nuance to it, because you do need to start to strategize for optimal nutrient density and focusing on superfoods and getting certain things in the diet on a regular basis. And, understanding that you have to have this experimental mindset over the long term. You have to have this mindset of, number one, like, sometimes it just takes time for what I'm doing for me to see results. It's not going to happen in days and weeks, although sometimes it does, But like, I could be doing things right now, like incorporating some new plant matter or some new superfoods, and I could do that for months before I start to notice some benefit from it. You never know. And then the wisdom is also to always understand that whatever works for me right now is not going to work for me forever, because everything that I do that's healthy for me is hormetic. Like, I need to bounce in and out of it. I can't do it all the time for it to be healthy. Nothing is good all the time. You have to bounce in and out of things. So you have to have this wisdom that whatever works for me now is not going to work in the future. And I have to learn how to cycle myself through all this different stuff. And there's one other thing. Hold on, I took some notes here. Oh, and then I always have to have this experimental mindset. I always have to have this attitude of not getting derailed. Like, things, I don't have failure. I don't have things that like didn't work. What I have is feedback. I get things that tell me, give me some useful information. And with that useful information, I can change what I do. Without that feedback, if things were just always good, we wouldn't know they're good, because we'd have nothing to compare it to. If things always moved in a better direction or something, we wouldn't notice it, because there's nothing to compare it to. We need this in and out and this yin and yang, this ebb and flow and all this stuff, to try to optimize things, So that's a big takeaway there, is we want to have an experimental mindset, understand what works for us now isn't always going to work. I need to always bounce in and out of stuff. And as a veteran, the basics work. 5 food groups, ideal days meals, not having starch sugar in the morning, nurturing natural space in between meals. But then at some point I have to start focusing on the things like that my body actually needs. Nutrient density, right? Focusing on superfoods, things that we might be a little bit uncomfortable with. We talk about this in the Adipose Fat Loss Program, we're venturing into things like liver and shellfish and organ meats and all kinds of different things. And I tell you what, it's a big part of why I feel so amazing and why all these other people do too. So on that note, I don't expect people to be like me. Sometimes I forget what I put out there sometimes, and I'm eating liverwurst and braunschweiger and tongue and heart and kidneys and egg yolks and bugs and whatever else, raw stuff. And so I don't put that out there because I expect people to be like me. I've been doing this for a long time, and so I'm desensitized to a lot of things that other people might consider gross, but I'm doing it because I want to feel amazing and optimize my health. But all you really need to pay attention to is our little incremental progressive goals, because we're trying to nudge you into a direction of better and experimenting with things that we know are going to be beneficial for you if you just let your guard down and you open your mind up just a little bit, So also, I talk a lot about my fasting protocols and how I only eat this many times a day and I go 3 days and 5 days. Well, we're not telling everybody to do that. Like, at some point you want to experiment with that stuff for sure, but you don't have to do stuff like I do. I'm crazy. I know I'm crazy, but I'm freaking healthy, you know? So some questions that have come up over the past week. So what if I'm an athlete? And you know, do these rules change or differ in any way? And you know, I think that a lot of us are always looking for these complicated answers to stuff. You know, as an athlete, oh wait, okay, I get what you're saying, but as an athlete, like, I'm different, I'm special, I have some unique needs. And there may be some truth to that to some degree. But what I found is that these rules magically apply to anyone and everyone and everything, like they really do. There is not a special protocol for athletes, although there are some things that we experiment with supplementation-wise and nutrient-wise and things like that. But if athletes get the basics down and they eat 100% real food, super clean all the time, and they nurture self-sufficiency, which really gives an athlete metabolic flexibility, we see magical things happen. The majority of us that are in the gym, the majority of people that I work with, whether they're triathletes or long-distance cyclists and everything in between, if they just commit to 100% real food and always nudging the body into self-sufficiency and metabolic flexibility, like, they see all kinds of things improve. So there is not a complicated, complex athlete protocol, but there are supplements that we experiment with for sure. And if you'd like to know what those things are, then let me know. You know, I'd love to work with you because, again, that's something that's also nuanced as well. I don't have a supplement protocol for athletes that aren't eating real food. The first step is eating real food. You know, the first step is teaching your body how to make its own energy and become self-sufficient and burn fat for fuel. And once you get that metabolic flexibility and all these things dialed in, then it makes sense to start talking about supplementation. And we do experiment with a lot of different supplements, you know. But the basics in general are going to serve everyone, and there's not a complicated real food answer for athletes. What I would say as an athlete is 100% real food, focusing on nurturing self-sufficiency and fat burning to give yourself metabolic flexibility. And then as an athlete, because you're blowing through so many nutrients, like, you definitely want to start to venture into superfoods, organ meats, shellfish, varying your plant matter. We have what we call the holy grail of plant matter, where we do bobar and cycle through different greens, so we're getting all these different micronutrients, and we make sure that we have a variety of healthy fats, so that we're getting not just fat for energy, but like fat soluble factors and nutrients and these synergies of things that are happening there. You know, when we see athletes start to combine all that kind of stuff, then performance goes to another level, you know. So yeah, to answer the question short and simple is, like, we want something complicated, but the reality is that it doesn't have to be complicated for it to work. It really doesn't, you know. Another question that came up is, what if I'm already thin and you're asking me to, you know, eat this limited range of foods and then also nurture space in between meals and experiment with fasting protocols and stuff like this. And I totally get that mindset, you know. But the reality is that when you nurture space in between meals, what you're nurturing is metabolic flexibility. You're not nurturing the body into breaking down its own muscle tissue or anything like that. So what I found is you can eat 1 time a day, you can eat 2 times a day, you can eat 3 times a day, whatever you feel comfortable with. You can eat 1 time every other day. And performance is not going to suffer. Your body composition is only going to get better. And if you're already, you know, relatively lean or thin and you don't want to lose any more weight, well, you're not going to lose muscle mass, which is, I think, really what we're talking about here. But you may lose a little bit of body fat if you have body fat to lose. But other than that, you're really strengthening efficiencies inside the body. You're maximizing the nutrients that you're giving the body, and you're also maximizing or optimizing metabolic flexibility. So if you're someone that has a lot of body fat to lose, in most cases, those people are going to lose body fat. If you're someone that's relatively lean, then in those cases, like, you know, the body just gets more efficient at things. It's not that you're going to start to break down muscle or any of that kind of stuff. And then within that realm, you have to listen to your hunger patterns, so that your natural hunger patterns dictate how much you eat. So on days that I eat 1 meal a day, it's a pretty big meal. On days that I eat 2 meals a day, they're smaller meals, you know, and I'm not trying to, that's the way that things kind of work out, you know. And if you're concerned about losing, you know, wasting away and you know, our fasting protocols, not eating, then what I'd recommend is, you know, sticking to 2 or 3 meals in a day, but definitely not doing the eating every 2 or 3 hours, because that's not good for you physiologically. It's not good for your digestion. It's a stress on the body. So, you know, do what you need to do what you feel comfortable, do what you feel comfortable with. You know, but just understand that our principles are not here for body composition changes. You know, body composition, you know, that's not optimal is a symptom just like digestive issues and heartburn and adrenal fatigue or whatever. And so the body prioritizes change based on what's going on. And if your body composition is relatively optimal, then it's probably going to shift to something else, you know. So I would say just trust in real food, trust in the concepts that we've learned because they're super powerful, and let the rest of itself kind of work itself out. And if you're struggling, let me know. Now, a preface to that, or a prerequisite, is that you actually are open to eating our definition of real food. But if you're someone that is not open to eating meat and not open to eating fat, yeah, you're going to have a hard time eating 1 or 2 meals a day and doing a lot of the things that we mess with. So we do have smart vegetarian and vegan protocols, and if you want to reach out to me and let me know, I'd be happy to set up a private session with you where we tell you, okay, look, if you're not willing to do this, this is the things that we'd recommend, although this may not be optimal in our realm, but we do recommend doing these things, you know, as like a biohack, you know, if you're not willing to eat the foods that we recommend and the amounts that we recommend. So hope that answers that, you know. And then what if, so we just touched on this, what if I'm not willing to embrace meat and or fat to the degrees that we're talking about? Well, you know, if you're a vegetarian that's open to eating some dairy products and some cheese and some yogurt and some eggs and fish and butter and things like that, like that's a big win, because what we're looking for from a lot of these animal meats and fats is certain fat soluble nutrients, and then also some of the healthy fats that we can use for fat-based energy. And so I'd say if you eat, you know, chicken and eggs and fish and butter, then the more of that stuff that you can do, the better. And then everything else, you know, do it based on your guidelines. But that's a huge, huge win. Now, if you're a vegan and you're just not willing to embrace animal meats and fats, then again, there are some smart grain, legume combining protocols that we'd recommend to make sure that you're getting a complete amino acid profile. And then there's also some supplementation that we'd recommend so that you're getting some of the fat soluble nutrients and EPA and DHA and some other stuff, okay? All right, so I don't know. How do I want to close this up? You know, I don't know. I think I want to leave it at this. This has been an overwhelming theme in interacting with a lot of different people, and that is this: you need to make it a goal to be 100% as many days as you can. All right. If you're in a position right now where you've got these little things that you're doing on a daily basis that you know don't make you feel good, but you're just kind of in that rut, I hear you, I feel you, I've been there. I just came out of one before getting into this Purist program. And I'm telling you right now, the goal is to be as 100% as you possibly can. As many days as you possibly can, because what happens is you get into this mode of vibrancy and vitality, and what I like to call virility. And you get into this mode, and not what I like to call, what I experience is virility. And you get into this mode of you feel so amazing that you want to hold on to it, and you want more, and you want more, all right? And what I found is once I get to that 3, 4, 5 day mark of being 100%, like it's just like it's on now. Like I do not want to lose this. I want to hold on to this. I want to do as much as I can to get even more out of this. So my big recommendation is to find a way to get to be 100% as many days as you can in a row so that you can experience and feel vibrancy and vitality like no other. And that will give you momentum to make even more decisions that will further you along that path. And that's the name of the game right there, is to have as many 100% days as you can that will keep you on track. And then if you do that for an extended period of time, when you fall off, it's easier to get back on. It really is. You know, we had a little bit of a party last night, and I overdrank and indulged in some approved items, you know, but stuff that I normally wouldn't have on a regular basis. And today, like, I'm just back to being 100% committed to being optimal and vibrant, because I want to look and feel amazing, as amazing as possible this week. You know, I want to perform really well. I want to think good. I got a lot of important work to do. We got a lot of people to empower, and I got to be on it. You know, we got tons of people to support that are coming in here looking to us for leadership and guidance, and I want them to see in my face that I'm on this thing, you know. So I have all my different reasons and leverage to get there, but I can tell you the biggest one is being 100% for several days in a row, because that gives me momentum. Also, if you're struggling with getting out of your rut, whatever that is, try to use leverage. You know, your leverage has got to be, what is it that you want to see change? You know, if it's body composition, if it's energy levels, if it's, you know, relationships or something like that, like what's your leverage? Why is it that I got to clean things up and get this out of my diet or change this thing? It's because I want this. And because I want this, I'm willing to sacrifice this so I can have that tomorrow. That's really what that's about. And also, by the way, last thing I want to leave you with is, it's not just the food. That's a big piece of it, but you got to get outdoors, just like this right here. You got to get bright sun exposure every single day. You got to connect with the earth most days. You got to spend time meditating every morning, thinking about what you want. Most people don't think about what they want. They think about what's wrong. You got to think about what you want because you want to bring that stuff into your life. And you got to spend time with others, you know? Like you got to spend some social connection, some time connecting with others. And I don't know. It's an amazing life, right? It's an amazing journey. And because it's not perfect, that's what makes it amazing. You know, we always hear this cliche thing, you know, it's about the journey and not the destination. And we hear that, but I don't think most of us get that. Like, I get it now. Like, it's not about that end goal. I'm thinking about that end goal sometimes in my morning, envisioning and here and there. But for the most part, I'm about being present in the moment, doing as much as I can, learning from my challenges and difficulties, understanding there's never failure, there's only feedback. And that's what makes me love life every day. And of course, I'm an optimal receptacle vessel. I'm vibrant, you know, I'm trying to dial in all this stuff. I'm not perfect with it, but I'm trying to be. And that's where we all need to be with all this stuff, okay? There is nothing but love and support here for you guys, okay? All this stuff comes from the heart, it really does. Whatever I can do, whatever we can do to further you along this path, please just let us know, because that's what we want for you. It really is, right? We want you to feel amazing. We want you to experience this so you can join us and help us empower others. All right, we love you guys so much. Thank you so much for listening.